In this video, we're doing a full in-depth walkthrough of Lovable, from setting up your account and choosing a pricing plan, all the way to working with databases, fixing common errors, and actually building a functional app. Whether you're just getting started or you have already tried the platform and got stuck, this guide is designed to walk you through everything step by step. So let's dive right in and build something together. All right, so first of all is that you want to go here into the website of Lovable, which is Lovable.dev, or you could use our link in the description to go here. Once you're here, we will now be setting up your account by clicking here on Get Started for free. If you already have an account, click here on Login. So click here on Get Started if you don't have one. And from here, you can proceed with your Google account, GitHub, or your email and password. And after this, it would send a verification code to your email, and then you'll need to confirm it, and by inputting it here again into Lovable. And then just like that, you have now created your account in Lovable right here. And now that we're signed in, the first thing that we'll be doing is that we're going to check our plan. So we're going to click here on our profile icon on the top right and click here on Manage on the credits used right here in the section. And then it will now open up the plans and billing. So the plans, or the paid plans here, is necessary if you are taking Lovable seriously, like you are using it for your apps, for a real project. Then you would need a paid plan for that, because free plan will not be enough. This is just for testing purposes. With this, it would give you access to public projects and 5 daily credits, which is honestly solid if you just want to experiment or test some ideas. You won't be able to hide your projects or use a custom domain, but it's a great way to try things out without committing. And next is the Pro plan. So this unlocks a lot more. You get everything from free, but now you're working with 400 credits a month right here, which is what I recommend. You could also go for other credits right here if you'd want to, and then the price would increase accordingly, and then you would get these features right here, and everything in free. So this would let you generate a lot more without hitting limits every day. You can make your projects private, remove the Lovable badge, use custom domains, and invite up to 3 editors per project. This one is ideal if you are working on a serious solo project or collaborating with 1 or 2 people and you want more control over branding and privacy. And next is we have the Teams plan. So this starts at $30 per month at 100 credits per month. And then you could, again, increase this accordingly, and the price would also increase. And then you would get everything in Pro Plus, and then you would get these additional features. So this is really built for companies or larger groups. It includes everything in a Pro, but adds centralized billing and access management, plus 20 seats included. If you're planning to build a bunch of landing pages across a team or need more structure around permissions, that's the one to look at. So yeah, start with free if you're experimenting, go with Pro if you're building something real, and jump to Teams if you're working with a crew. Now, if you want to purchase a plan or you just want to try it Lovable, then you can use our link in the description. That is an affiliate link, and that would help us greatly in supporting this channel. But no pressure, it's entirely up to you, just that it is greatly appreciated if you would do so. So yeah, we're now done here with the plans and billing. So once you have chosen your plan, you can now exit. All right, so now let's create our app with Lovable. So we need to type out our prompt in here to get started in creating our app. So you could type out something simple, but in my case, since I already have an idea or an app in mind that I would want to build, so I would want to be as specific and as detailed as possible on what I would want on the app. So for this tutorial, I'm going to build a habit tracker app, just a simple one, just to show you the ropes here in Lovable. So I'm just going to type out or say that I would want to build a clean, minimal habit tracker app. And then after that is you could add more details to that, but I'm just gonna go with some bullet points, like something like this, maybe just dash, and I'm just gonna go on with the specifics of my app. So I'm just gonna go for create new habits, or I should say I should specify this first. So the the app should let users, something like this, and then this will be the features that the app or the user would be able to do. And now I'm gonna go for more, and I'm gonna say they should be able to view today's habits on the home screen with check boxes to mark each as done, and then to be able to track completed habits in a separate history page. And then I'm just gonna correct the spelling for this. That's right. All right, so I think this would be a really good starting point for my app. The important thing is that we have started building our app, and then we can just figure out the rest along the way. Now, next is once you have provided the features that you'd want to include and your specifications, one last thing that I like personally to include would be the design, because I think design should be the first one that should be built when you're building an app right here. So I'm just going to go and type it out right here so that we could visualize it later on much better. Now, I'm just going to go and use modern UI styling. I'm gonna go for a white background, soft card elements, and maybe some rounded corners, light shadows, and I think I'm just gonna go for calming colors right here, just so that it's easier to look at with my habit tracker app. And I'm gonna go specify some colors. Like for example, I'm gonna go for blue, green, and lavender, so that the AI would prioritize these colors instead of selecting from a big variety of calming colors. Next is that I would want to add icons to each habit category. I think that would look pretty clean, minimal, and really good. And next is that I'm gonna go for stick to one clean sans serif font, just so that it would be uniform and it would not be messy to look at, because the look that I'm trying to achieve here would be a minimal look, so I don't want it to be messy in terms of the font. So I said stick to one clean sans serif font. And then once you are done is that you can click here on the send button, and then it would now start processing your prompt and then building the app based on the prompt that you have typed out right here. And we also have this attach button right here where you could upload images, so that you'd be able to upload reference files like screenshots, design mockups, documents, or even drawings, so that Lovable would be able to work with it. This is so that Lovable would gain more context when generating your app. So, like for example, you can try upload a UI sketch or maybe a CSV file might help if you are building a real sample data, or a Figma screenshot that can influence the generated layout. And it's also available in the free plan, but you may be limited in how many uploads or app generations you can do daily, so take note of that. And then from here, these are some prompts right here in Lovable that they recommend. So you only use this if you're just testing the features here in Lovable and you don't really have an idea on what to start with here. And here at the bottom is where you can see your past projects, and then the projects here from the community. So basically you can just think of this as templates, because you could use them as templates by remixing with them. Like for example, when I click on them, from here I will now be taken into here and will now be able to view this project that was generated by this user, and then we can click here on the remix button right here. But unfortunately this project is connected to Supabase, so in order for us to remix, we must be a collaborator or member of this workspace. So yeah, not all projects here in the community is available for you to remix, but some of them are if the author or the uploader permits you to do so. Alright, so now that we know the features and so on right here, let's now build our app by clicking here on send. So now it will now work with our prompt. And as you can see right here, it's now spinning up the preview of our app. So let's just wait for it to finish working on it. And then as you can see right here, it is now saying that it will now build a clean, minimal, and so on according to our prompt. And we just need to wait for it to finish processing or building our app for the first time. As you can see right here, it has some loading animations. All right, so now here it is. Lovable is now finished building our first view of the app. So it's this one right here. And as you can see right here, it has now built a clean, minimal habit tracker app, as you can see. And it has added the create new habits feature, which is this one. So we'll be testing it out later on. And then you can also view today's habits on the home screen, which is right here with checkboxes to mark each as done. So we'll be seeing that after we have created our first habit. And then we can now track completed habits in a separate history page, which is here. As you can see right here, it also has this UI for the history, and we can see the date, streaks, total habits, and so on. So it has added this details like the best streaks right here and top habits, even though we haven't added here on the prompt, as you can see, which is what I like about Lovable because it has initiative. But if you don't like these details that has been added, you can just easily remove that by telling Lovable right here in your chat. So just ask Lovable to delete that certain detail, then it should be able to remove it without any problem. And as you can see, yeah, it has UI, modern styling, white background, soft colored elements, rounded corners, as you can see, some light shadows, and calming colors, which is the blue, green, lavender, which we have indicated. As you can see, it has now used those colors by priority. As you can see, we have the blue, the green, and then the lavender. And then add icons to each habit category, so we'll be seeing that after we have created our first habit. And from here, you'll also see some suggestions here from Lovable on what you should do next. Like you could tweak the designs, animations, and master prompting, GitHub, and so on right here. But in order for us to add more features right here, like for example, I would want to add login features so that customers can log in or register here in my app. And in that way, they would be able to save their progress, like their habits, like what they have created here on their first habit, like other habits, and then their streaks, so that it will now be saved into their account. So I would want that feature. So, and if that's the case, then we would need a Supabase right here. We would need to connect it into our Lovable by clicking here on the Supabase icon on the top right. So once you click on that, they should appear just like this one. So if you have no idea what Supabase is, it is basically giving your app a real backend, meaning your data like user habits, progress tracking, login info, in this case, will be saved, retrieved, and updated from a live database instead of just being stored locally or in mock form. And without Supabase, Lovable apps are just prototypes or demos with mock data. So you need this in order for your app to become functional, multi-user, and production ready. So now let's click here on Connect Supabase. And now it should now prompt this window right here. And now we can now log in or sign up by clicking here. So if you don't have an account, you can sign up, provide your email, or you can continue with GitHub. So whatever you want. So I'm just going to create my own right here. So, all right. So now I am done signing up by using the email option. So I have also confirmed the email right here. So you want to go into the email that you have provided if you have chosen the email option. And then once it's confirmed, you can click here on sign in now. And then from here, you should now be able to see that you can now create a new organization here. So I'm just going to go for this one right there. And then the plan right here, I'm just going to go for free and click on create organization just so that we can set up our Supabase. Now, let's wait for it to finish creating our organization, and then we can come back in here. And there it is. So now we can now just close this right there. Once it's closed, you can now click here on connect to Supabase, and then you should now have this option. If you don't have this, then you can try refreshing your tab first before trying it out again. And now from here, just click on authorize Lovable right here on the bottom. And now it's connecting to Supabase, so let's just wait for it to connect. And as you can see right here, connection is successful. So that's it. We now have our Supabase in here. and we can see some organization that we'd have right here, so you can create a new one if you would want to. Now let's skip that for now, and let's just focus here on our app first. And first is, before we proceed into adding our login feature in here, let's just test out the features that we have here first, and let's see if they are working properly. So now let's try and create our new habit right here, our first habit. Click here and create first habit. As you can see, we now have this prompt like the habit name. Let's say meditate, for example, and then the category right here. So we have a lot of categories. So let's just go for health and fitness, and then for the color, I would want it to be blue. And as you can see, it doesn't have this swatches right here, color swatches. So I would like to add that. So just so that I don't forget, I'm gonna type it out here in the prompt as one of the fixes. So I'm just gonna say that I want this to be fixed. Add color swatches on the color drop down menu when creating or editing a habit. Right there. For I think I'm just gonna go for add color swatches for the colors right here. And then next is also here in the category, I would want it to be that in the category, I want people, or I want the user to be able to create custom category, maybe something like this right here in the category when creating a new habit right there. So that will be specific. And then after that is we're gonna click on creating habit, and let's see, I think that's good. I can check it and it's working properly right here, and we have the delete option, and I would want to add edit option for each habit when they are created right there. And as for the history, I think this is pretty good. I don't have any problem with this one. And yeah, so we could also go for a month right here and click here new habit, basically the same thing. So yeah, that's it. So these are all my fixes, and let's see if Lovable would be able to apply them. So I'm just gonna go and send that, and it's now processing my request. Alright, so now it has now finished processing our request, but the problem here is that we have this error message. It says build unsuccessful, so Lovable wasn't able to do it. So now let's try to fix this by clicking here on error, and from here we have the try to fix it button here in the top right. So let's just click on it and see if Lovable would be able to fix that. And now it has now offered a fix right here, and now we can just click here on this button to fix it. So it would now refactor this TCX file right here. So we just need to click on that, and now it's now gonna prompt this one, and it will now try to fix it once we have clicked on this one right here. So it would depend on the kind of issues that you are solving, so you might have a different button in here. All right, so now it has now finished fixing the problem or refactoring as we did or clicked here on this button. So now let's test it out if the features or fixes that we have requested has been applied, which is this one. So add a color swatches. So click here on new habit, and let's see if we now have that. And as you can see, it has now been added. As you can see right there, it's very easy, no coding needed. All you have to do is just talk to the Lovable AI right here. And now let's go into category, and let's see. As you can see, we now have this one. So custom category, let's click on that. And as you can see right here, we now would be able to input a category name. So let's say category sample. And then from here, I'm going to press enter. And as you can see right here, it doesn't really need that right here, it seems. So let's just try it out right here. So habit name, let's say a sample habit right there. And then the color for this one, I'd like it to be yellow. And click on create habit, and let's see right here. So now we now have this custom category, and then we now have this color swatch, and then we have the name and so on, and then of course the edit button as we have requested in here. So we also have it right here, and let's see if it works. So click here, And as you can see, we could also edit it right here, like the category, the custom one, the color, and so on. So yeah, it's working perfectly fine. So now we can proceed into adding the login feature. So from here, I'm just going to ask Lovable to add login feature so that users would be able to save their progress, habits, and other data uniquely to their own account. And then I'm just gonna press an enter and let's see what Lovable has for us. So this is the response of Lovable right here. So it doesn't really provide a direct option in here to set up the login feature. So it's suggesting that we view this integration doc so that we would have a guide on how we could do it. But it's actually really simple in here. I don't know why Lovable didn't say that. So what you need to do is to go here into Supabase. Since we're already connected, what we need is to create a project or connect to a project to get started for this app. So we're just going to click here on create a project in here. And then from here, we can set up. So let's say in the project name, I'm going to say this is for the habit tracker app sample. So this will be the database project name. And from here, the data password. So I'm just going to go for something simple. So I'm going to go for this one right there. I think that's enough. And then the region in here. So now you can select the region closest to your users for the best performance. So let's say my users are mostly from US. So I'm just going to go for US, click on create new project. And that's it. It's real simple. We now have created that project and it should now be listed here when we go back in here into our Lovable. And as you can see here under projects, we now have this one right here, and just click here on connect and click on connect right there. And it's now connected. As you can see, we now have this database. Now we're going to exit. And as you can see, Supabase is now connected and something like this one. So Lovable is saying that it looks like you haven't created any tables in your Supabase project yet. So your app is now connected into Supabase. So now that we are done with our Supabase setup, let's now say add authentication and login right there. And let's see if it would now be able to add authentication and login feature. And now Lovable has now responded, and from here, as you can see, it is now showing some codes, but you don't really need to mess with this or understand it. You just go for the text right here and just understand what Lovable is trying to say. So you can just ignore this if you don't really care much about this one, or you don't really know how what it is. So from here, we'll just proceed here. So review the SQL commands. So these are the changes that will be applied. So we can create a profile table for user information, set up triggers, modify the habits, associate them with users, and enable RLS to ensure users can only access their own data. So yeah, I have no problem with this one and I'm all good to go with that. So I'm just going to click here on apply changes. But if in your case you would want to add some edits, you can just type it out right here. So now I'll click here on apply changes to add the feature. And now as you can see, it is now loading and it says starting live preview. So let's just wait for it to finish adding the feature into our app. And now here's the response of Lovable. So it says that it appears that the SQL migration encountered an error because of the habits. Tables doesn't exist yet in your Supabase database. Let's modify our approach and create these tables first. So one thing I like here is that Lovable would be the one to do that step, and then all we have to do is click here on apply changes button. With just one click, we have now completed those steps. Now Lovable would now be able to proceed into applying the feature now, finally. So yeah, basically it's just asked for our permission to proceed with these additional steps. And now here's the response. Unfortunately, we have an error message here again. So it wasn't able to apply the changes because it tried to edit a file and so on. So we can just click here on this error and let's see if they can fix it. So clicks here on try to fix. And now let's wait and let's see if it will be fixed. All right, so now it has finally applied a change and it has fixed the errors, as you can see right here. And we now have this sign up page. Now from here, we just need to test the sign in and sign up. So from here, let's go for sign up first. And from here, I'm just going to provide my email and see how it goes. And I'm going to provide my password and click on create account. And then from here, let's see what the next step is. And as you can see right here at the bottom, right, it says sign up successful. Please check your email for verification. So I just need to go into my email and I should see the Supabase auth, which is this one. You're receiving this email because you signed up for an application powered by Supabase. So I just need to click here on confirm my mail right here. So that's it. And let's wait for it to finish loading. And actually it doesn't load, so the site cannot be reached. So I'm just gonna click on confirm your email again. And actually let's just go back in here into Lovable and let's try signing in right here. Just same details, and as you can see I am now signed in. So now from here, let's see if we can log out. As you can see, we don't have the logout button, so we're gonna add that as our fix. So I need this fixes, add logout button when logged in. And yeah, I think that is already great. And then from here is that I can try adding a new habit again, and just for an example. And from here, actually we don't have the public or private option, right? I just noticed that, so I'm just gonna also apply the change right here. So I want to add a public or private visibility option for each card or each habit right there. And then yeah, I think that's the only one I'll want to be fixed. And then I'm gonna send that and let's see how it fixes it. All right, it's now finished processing. Now we have an error message again, so we're just gonna click here on error message again and let's try to fix it first. And yeah, that's it. So basically here in Lovable, if you encounter some errors, you can just fix it by clicking here on the error message and click on try to fix it. Sometimes it won't have this button right here. Then in that case, you can just copy this code right here and copy that, and then you can paste it here into Lovable so that they would be able to read this error log, and then you can describe the error that you're facing, and then they should be able to solve that problem without you clicking here on trying to fix it. So yeah, that's another option if you ever get stuck. And from here it says error build unsuccessful again. So from here, and I'm just gonna go and click here again and let's see if we can fix it again. So another error message. So now it hasn't really solved this error right here. Instead, I just proceeded with applying the changes even though this error has been fixed. And now let's see if we will encounter some problems. So first, let's test the sign out button. So click here on sign out. As you can see, it works pretty well. We are now signed out. And now let's try putting in some random stuff in here and let's see if we will still be able to sign in. And just to make sure that this is not a glitch or so on, and as you can see, invalid login credentials, so which means it is really working. So now let's try sign in again right here, and now I'm signed in, and let's test out the last one, which is the public or private visibility feature. So I'm just gonna go here and let's see, we don't have it right here, so let's click on edit, and here we have it. We have the visibility option in here, so we can just enable that and it will now be visible to others. The only problem here is that we don't have that page where others would be able to see our work, because we don't have that home page. So if I would want to add more features in here, then I would want to add a home page in here where others, or maybe those users who are not yet logged in, would be able to see all the public habits or maybe projects or goals that is currently here in this app, and that way they would be able to see what other users are up to. But yeah, I have ran out of credits. Take note that I am only in the free plan, so I only get 5 credits per day, so I wouldn't be able to add more features anymore. I would have to wait for tomorrow to be able to chat here again in Lovable. So yeah, if you'd want to add more features here into your app, but in my case I wouldn't do that anymore because I don't have credits. But yeah, you just need to go through the same process, ask Lovable about it, and if there are some errors, you can try to solve it by clicking on that error message and click on the try to fix it button. Now, before we publish and finally deploy our app, let's first discuss the buttons in here so that you'd have an idea on what it does because we haven't discussed them yet. So first is this one right here. When you click here, you'd now be able to see to go to your dashboard and then the credits that you have available. You can go to the settings of this project, rename this appearance and the help feature. And we have the history wherein you would be able to see all the fixes or changes that has been made to your app. And then you could also hide the chat if you'd want to by clicking on this button. And then you could also go here to refresh the page. And then you could also preview this if you'd want to by clicking on this button. And then this is where you can navigate to the different pages on your app. And then here is where you could view the code. So if you'd like that, then you can do it right here. And this one is where you could go to your Supabase configuration. And then we have our GitHub right here. So if you'd want to connect this to GitHub, this is where you can do it by clicking on connect to GitHub and just follow the instructions. And then you could also invite collaborators depending on your plan by clicking here on this button. Next is that we have this one right here in the chat. So we have these buttons where you could upload right here from GitHub, from the history, knowledge, project settings, Supabase, and then you could also attach a file. You can edit some parts here in your app. As you can see, when you click here on this edit button, you'd now be able to select parts here in your app, like for example, this one right here, daily progress. And now you'd now be able to modify the margin, the padding, background, border radius, advanced, and so on. So if you'd like to change the appearance, this is where you'd be able to specifically do it. So this is also very important. And then you could also go here for chat so that you'd be able to chat without making edits to your project right here. And then the send button right there. So now that we have discussed all those buttons, let's now click on publish and deploy our app. And now from here, as you can see, we have security issues. So I recommend that you solve this first before you publish or deploy your app. Right here, this is where you can see that. And then you could also ask Lovable on how you could solve it. Or you could try and click here, and then you should have this option right here to ask assistance, view function, and so on. And let's just proceed into publishing this with security issues right here, because this is just a tutorial. And now, as you can see, project has now been updated. It has now been published. Now, what we're gonna do is that we're now gonna review or view the app itself right here. So all you have to do is to just go into this URL. And then you should now be able to open up your app in here in the internet. So as you can see, we would now need to log in and let's see, test it out if it's working fine. So I'm just gonna log in. Oops. Right there. And from here, we are now signed in. As you can see, we now have this one, which we made earlier. So it has saved this progress. We can now add new habits right here, colors, visibility, and so on. So yeah, our app is good with basic features. So that's it on how you could do this here in Lovable. So if you'd want to add more features, just ask Lovable to do it. And then you might have some errors, but you can just fix it by ongoing by the same process. So yeah, that's it on how you could do this here in Lovable. Make sure to use the link in the description if you would want to support this channel. That would be greatly appreciated. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.